Hey there, church family. It's good to be back with you, at least by video now. We're going to continue to try to film some videos for Wednesdays while we still don't have Wednesday services, because currently we're just doing Sunday morning service at 10:30. So this is what we're going to try to do today. It's something a little different than we've been doing. We've been engaging the sermon and the content of the sermon and kind of talking together different questions through that. But we're going to do something just a tiny bit different. We're going to ask some questions just concerning the pandemic that we've been going through, the quarantine that we've been going through, just some more personal questions, maybe even just to get to know us a little bit better through that. We're not going to do this every Wednesday. We'll be engaging the sermon in the coming videos, but just something a little different, a little more lighthearted maybe this time. Maybe it'll get deep. I don't know. I guess it's up to them as they answer some of these questions together. But maybe first off, kind of a light question. What are some things you guys have been doing, you and your family, during this quarantine, just to survive? I mean, what has been the average day maybe in your guys' household? What's it looking like? How'd you make it?
I mean, we've been praying for warm weather at the beginning of it, right? Yeah. You know, just staying cooped up and not being able to have regular times where we would take the boys somewhere to go see their friends and things like that. And so just getting them outside was a big thing for us. And so praying for warm weather that stuck around. And but, you know, that came and it was good. And as time went on, we were able to start bringing some people over, take the boys places and things like that. So thankfully, the park that was in our neighborhood never shut down. And so we were able to utilize that. So, I mean, that was the main thing, is trying to find creative ways to stay active.
Yeah.
And to do those things with the kids. That was the main thing.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know. Like he's talking about going outside, always especially encouraging the kids to go outside, get them some fresh air and such. But, you know, we did a little bit of stuff around the house, you know, moving into the new house. So gave us an opportunity to do a few things, work on some things, which I'm not good at, but we got through it. We're getting through it. Just really hanging out as a family. I really don't know. We were able to have family in, my sister in, just recently, and my parents came in the week before the pandemic struck. Yeah. So, it was good, though.
I know you guys have younger kids. Did you guys find yourself doing anything new with the kids? I mean, during this time, just getting creative, trying to think of some new ways to entertain them, because I mean, it wasn't warm the whole time.
Yeah. Once it did get warm, I built a water park.
Really?
Yeah. So there's a little play set in our backyard, and just buy some PVC pipe, and as somebody affectionately called it, just did a little redneck rigging, and put a water hose up to it, and bada boom, you've got a water slide, and build ourselves some little water guns on turrets, and it's a hit.
Yeah,
they love it. Yeah,
oh, sweet. That's cool. Yeah, good. I mean, we have young and older kids, but like at our house, we find ourselves doing more games together, card games at night. Try to get the little ones to bed, which is a task in itself. But then spending some time buying board games. You know, about the game Clue. Kids have never played that before, so. Playing Clue. We played one game of Monopoly, and I said, we're never doing this again. That was absolutely brutal. Yeah. Way too long.
It monopolizes your time.
Man, nailed it. Yeah. But that's been nice. I mean, just getting to play some board games, I think with the family. Have you guys required any new habits, any new hobbies that you've tried to tackle, or maybe within your family you guys have tried to tackle together other than the water park venture?
I mean, one thing that's kind of happened during the pandemic for us as a family that I think we want to keep going forward is around 7 o'clock in the morning. So our kids usually are up 6:30-ish in the morning. But we usually, around 7 o'clock, we've been trying to read the Bible together as a family. For us, that morning time works well.
Okay. Before
the day just kind of goes off.
Sure.
So that's been kind of a cool thing we've started, and I think our kids have actually enjoyed it. They like listening to the Bible, and it's just a good quiet time at the very beginning of the day before the chaos can start, and just before we get so busy, to take some time and just read the scriptures and pray.
If you don't mind me asking, how are you like deciding what to read? I mean, are you guys going through like a book of the Bible, or are you just popcorning it around?
So a lot of sometimes I have my personal Bible reading. This is going to sound really selfish. I've got a plan, so sometimes I'll just read out of that. Like I'll say, hey, this is part of my Bible reading today, so we'll just read this family-wise or just whatever. But then we have been going through, we finished 1 Samuel, we've been going through 2 Samuel now into it. So reading that story, and of course stories are really great for kids, right? Because they can pick up the line and the characters. So yeah, we've been going through that. We're probably about 2 Samuel. The last story I think we read was chapter 9 with Mephibosheth. So that was really good, and the kids have enjoyed that.
Cool. Yeah, that's good. What you, Scott?
I mean, the same thing applies for us. You know, at the very beginning of this pandemic, I actually made a video to challenge families to use this as an opportunity to invest in their children and themselves rather than see it as a hindrance. And so if I'm going to give that challenge, I felt very necessary to try to stay consistent in it myself. We've tried that as best we can at our household as well. And so we usually actually do it right before bedtime. It works for us. In between dinner, bath time, let's do a family devotion, and then we'll go off and read a story together, like a storybook or whatever. And we've been trying to be more consistent in doing that, and that's been really good. We actually are still using like little children's Bibles and children's books, and some nights we'll just do some catechism questions with Nolan primarily, and we'll usually sing together during that time because that's something that both Thomas and Nolan can do. Even if they can't, Thomas can't say the word, he makes the noise.
Oh, yeah.
He knows the noises to make at that point in the song, and so he'll do that, and they both really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So we do that. Personally, I've been doing a lot more reading during this last couple of months than what I would normally be able to do. Just honestly, just with things with the church being slower, there's not events to keep up with and to go for, and so I've been able to do a lot more reading than what I get to do, and I've really enjoyed that.
Okay, so you've been very spiritual, and I appreciate that. We read our Bible more. When I ask, what are some new habits or hobbies? Anything else? I mean, in your life?
Some of the reading
like
I've been doing,
cooking or woodworking or anything along those lines.
Yeah. Well, some of the reading I've been doing has not been nonfiction. I mean, I read fiction too, and so picking up a series and enjoying that. That's just me. But like woodworking. Like I had projects at my house to work on, and so trying to redo our breezeway right now, and things like that. With the warmer weather now, like we're finally getting out and going fishing as a family, and that's been really enjoyable. So my sons love doing that, even though they're not really able to do it much.
Sure.
But
yeah, cool. Yeah, I feel like my time has been trying to keep older kids entertained in our house. Amanda seems to deal with the two littles a lot, and I'm trying to keep those other ones, their minds going, and so trying to think of just fun things even for them to do. But like we've done egg drops. You remember doing that?
Yeah, you did.
In school, we did egg drops at the house. We've done a lot of like challenges, like who has the best lemon lime soda. We've even done that. Where I bought Sprite, I bought Sierra Mist, I bought Meyer brand, I bought Kroger brand.
If I did that with my kids, they would love all of them.
Who won?
They would just love drinking it.
I think Sprite was a top. Sierra Mist was dead last on everybody's list. It was blind. It was done blind, so they didn't know what they were drinking.
Did you use 7-Up?
Yeah, 7-Up was in there. That was towards the middle.
I'm a 7-Up.
Do they have Sundrop up here?
That wouldn't be in that category. That'd be more of a Mountain Dew category probably. But yeah, they do. Sundrop's good. I like cherry Sundrop better. Anyways, but yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, same with us trying to do the devotions. We seem to bounce around with that. Where we found some YouTube stuff that we would watch now. My brother-in-law was doing that. My kids kind of like that. So watch the YouTube thing. It might be on Paul, and they talk about Paul's life, and then we discuss some things, or we have some like catechism type books that we'll read. We did that last night. It's a book called Theology. It was on this one was on faith. What is faith? So just trying to talk. Probably the same frustrations all families have. Get the blank stares. The what? I don't even know what you're talking about type of. But you just do them because you're trying to be faithful to that. Trusting God will do that. But good. I was hoping for some fun hobbies maybe you guys had, but reading to your kids was it. That was it.
Apparently pretty boring.
Really not very exciting here.
Okay, so then what are some things through this pandemic, through the quarantine, that maybe God has shown you? Maybe it's personal. Maybe there's some things about yourself that has been revealed, or maybe even things that you've seen, like in society, that God has just maybe opened your eyes. Maybe not for the first time or something like that, but just, man, I see society struggling with this even more so now, or myself, or I see myself doing well with it. I don't know, but just what have you seen God maybe showing you through this whole process we've been going through since March?
I think as I look at society, I think we've seen there's just a really big lack of trust in any authority of any kind. And it's funny you mentioned Easter and eggs. That feels like a long time ago now.
Yeah, it does.
And I think part of it is so many big, you feel like you're drinking from an ocean of information and floods of what we're told are huge events happening, many of which are big events, but I think people are almost dazed and confused now. And I feel that way. You almost feel like you're getting sucker punched all the time with the news. Mm-hmm. And I think you look at society in general, people are really afraid and angry. There's both emotions, I think, going on there. I don't think people trust authorities. And that includes spiritual authorities now. And as Christians, we believe our authorities in the Scriptures. And so I see that going on, as especially being manifested in our society through this whole situation. And for me personally, I've been reminded of how I have to be careful about how much of that I consume. For me, I can get very cantankerous about it, and it can make me very irritable. And my wife has to remind me, and it's good that she does, because I need it. You need to slow down here, because if I'm just watching it all the time, it really takes nothing. I'm a powder keg ready to erupt. That's not good.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to. I guess that's something I've learned a little bit. I don't want to be that way. Yeah. And so I want to put that to death and have a more stable response to those things. But that's just kind of looking at society and myself.
Yeah, I've even felt within myself, talking about the news and the information that's just out there everywhere with Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all these different things. And I found myself where it can become where you get anxious and you get, and I'm sitting in my house where everything's pretty safe, right? It might even be nice outside, there's not much, but I'm in this world, and it can just weigh on me. And so I think a lot of people struggle with that. I've even had friends in my life who I've never done this, but maybe I should, to say, you know what, maybe get rid of Twitter. You're really worrying about a lot of stuff, and I'm not saying it's bad. There are bad things going on in the world that we should be worried about, but they almost feel the weight personally, it's on their shoulders.
Yeah, one of the things I think I've noticed in all this is that weight that you're talking about, the anxiety almost to know what the right answer is that there's a lot of pressure that comes from what you might say is both sides of the argument to you. If you were to step back and say, well, I really want to try to take it all in, make sure I understand, and then I'll make a decision or I'll take a stance. And there's a lot of people on both sides that if you say that, they're upset with you because they see that as an affront or you're waiting too long. The evidence is clear. And so I've noticed a lot of pressure that are on people to make an immediate decision about what they think about something, when the wise thing to do is to wait, to think, to get as much information. It would be better to respond later but correctly rather than sooner and incorrectly, right?
Yeah, that's the struggle. Right now, there's no in between, like you said. It seems to everybody, there's the correct answer, and it's either way over here, and then you have this side. This is the correct answer way over here. There's no wading through anything.
Yeah.
And
it's so it's that you feel that pressure, and that's why you're you're looking up articles, you're reading this, you're trying to stay on top of it because you feel like people are going to expect an immediate decision out of you.
Right.
And that's not healthy.
Right.
That's
And
not
it's
healthy.
infiltrated the church. I mean, if we're really honest, we can't just look at society and say that. I mean, I see that within the church. When an issue creeps up within the church, it's instantly these sides. And if you say, well, I'm trying to wade through it, you're almost looked at like, well, you're an idiot, depending on what side that person happens to be on.
Right.
There's no grace. Yet Scripture clearly tells us to be slow to speak, right? And to think and to listen, quick to listen. And it almost seems like, we've lost grace
Right.
within the church at times, just over issues that are important issues. We're not minimizing it.
But that's exactly the reason you should wade through them slowly and carefully.
Mm-hmm.
I think, too, one of the questions you have to ask yourself, too, is what good is this doing?
Sure.
So I see this as bad, and it may be bad, or this or that, whatever it is. Then you have to ask yourself, because one of the things that's funny is all of a sudden you can start feeling the weight, like, I've got to fix this. But there's nothing I can do to fix this.
Yeah.
I mean, I can, and I think it starts to pull you, like you said, in this other world, instead of there are those people right in my home or right next door that I am supposed to love.
Right.
And so instead of trying to tackle all these huge issues, I just need to focus on loving the people in this church, the people that are live right next to my house, and people that I actually come in contact with, instead of this whole world of media and social media that I never come into real contact with. What good is this doing right now? Just a good question to always ask ourselves.
It's good. I think we can all agree. Everything seems to be very polarizing. I mean, right now when we're recording this, we have all this race stuff going on, and if I've seen people who take a stand and say something like, "Oh, Black Lives Matter," and you get this response from the other side. Don't you think all lives matter? It's like, well, yeah, I do. You can't think both. And I mean, they almost act like that. Like, you can't think both. It's got to be one. It's like, no, I don't think that's the problem here. I can say that that's wrong, but I can also look and say that's wrong, and I can say that this is right. And it's like, it's just so polarizing and can be very, like you said, very weighty. And we have to remember God has placed us in a context, right? And He's placed you where you live and put the people around you, and you have your family, and you have to do well with them and serve them and honor them the best you can. That's what He's called us to, right? I can't fix all the world's woes. All right. Scott, anything for you in particular that you've seen through all this, maybe that God has shown you personally, maybe about yourself or like society things? Or
I think He's really just exposed in my heart. I've been trying to be somewhat self-reflective through it, but He's really exposed in my heart just how much I value my personal time, like too much, with not being able to take the kids anywhere to really entertain them with other people. So you're talking about doing all of these other things, and my kids can handle some of that, but a lot of times the thing that's best for them is just get out and run.
Sure.
Go hang out with other people and other kids and things like that. So not being able to do that, it's on me now as a dad. It kind of actually always is, but it's a lot harder. It takes a lot more effort to do that. Even as a pastor, I think we as pastors, basically we have been doing everything we can over the last couple of months to provide teaching and spiritual wisdom and to our members and to the Christian world, and we've been able to do that, but largely we haven't been doing the other tasks that we as pastors are called to do in terms of regularly seeing people, talking to them face to face, interacting with them and their families. And a pastor is not just called to teach and to prepare lessons. We're called to be around people, and so it's easy to fall into a state of complacency where, say, most pastors enjoy studying. They enjoy, like I've been reading, and so take people out of the equation, and all that happens is this little whirlpool of study and growth and knowledge and just providing that, but we're still not providing what we've been called to do in terms of, if you're going to shepherd the flock of God, you have to be among the flock of God. And so that's been something that's been heavy on my mind over the last several months. It's just, I'm not among the people anymore, and so I'm starting to feel that.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, I've definitely realized through this, for me, I am introverted. This hasn't broke me at all of not being around people.
Yeah.
If anything else, at times it's refreshing to do that. But yeah, what you said is so true, of making sure as pastors we are loving the people that God has given us. You know, it's hard for us to love everybody well, but even trying to set up things within the church for everybody to be loved by the church together. We don't do that alone as pastors, loving our church members, but we still are called to do that. And even trying to do that, I know you said we haven't really been doing that. I'm not going to stick up for myself here, but I can stick up for you guys. I know you guys have delivered food to people. You guys have been doing these things, cards, different types of things. And I've seen church members doing that, which has really been great, which I mean actually can speak to some things I've seen God doing in the midst of this. Is I saw people within our church step up and be the church. You know, it wasn't just, we're not meeting, so just go do your thing. People were giving cards to each other, making jelly and taking it to their house, and bread. And I kept hearing story after story. Or, you know, our deacons were checking on over 100 of our people on a weekly basis or every week. Just, what do you need? So I heard stories of groceries getting picked up for people and all this stuff. And for me, that was wonderful to hear. Like, that's what we should do. That's what we should be doing. Not just now, even normally as well. So I've been thankful to see that also. No, those are good. Those are good. But I think the reason I asked that question is we do need to be introspective, even during a time like this. It's like, what is God showing me in this? So I think maybe some people saw areas of their marriage that was weak, because now they're with their spouse all the time. Yep. And so instead of seeing that and getting angry about it, but how do we fix this? Okay, this is something that needs to be better, you know, or like you said, just things about yourself personally, or why have I been cooped up in my bedroom? Like, what is today? Is it dark or light? I've just been on the computer for 36 straight hours reading the news, and I want to get out and fight somebody, or like, that's a problem. Yeah. And we need to be introspective about that and see, and so that's good. All right, just two more questions, just real quick. Maybe, what are you looking forward to the most now that, you know, government's restricting some things and getting back to normal? What'd you miss the most? What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to getting back together with people, you know, the church.
Yeah. Hopefully by the time this video is shown, we've done that.
Right,
you know,
right.
This will come out that
I think
after.
that's the first thing, right? I mean, that's the number one thing, I think, is just being able to see everybody, you know, get back together again with God's people. That was a really good word you said about being with the flock. It's sad when the shepherd doesn't want to be with the sheep. And the sad thing is it's possible for some people to be shepherds and don't like sheep. But you're in the sheep business. Yeah. And so you got to love people. And so it's great. It's going to be wonderful to see people again. For my family, it's going to be wonderful for our kids to see people, to show up and sing together, to hear the Bible read and preached and prayed together. That's going to be wonderful. I'm looking forward to that a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, good. All right. Yeah. Anything else?
Several weeks ago, I actually just asked a question of people I'm friends with on Facebook to answer that question. Like, it was specifically related to church.
Oh, okay.
What do you miss most about gathering as a church? And the two things that people said that I think I will echo back are they miss singing together corporately as a church. I miss that. Because I can listen to teaching. You know, I sing songs with my family on a regular basis. We've even recently had people over where we've sung together, but it's not the same as being with our whole church gathered. And the other thing is I miss the fellowship with other Christians regularly. And just those two things were said very often, and that's what I miss. I think I've I've seen and realized just the place that Christian fellowship plays in the Christian life. In terms of having regular sources of encouragement, helping me correct my gaze back to Christ and the mission that He's called us on and what we're doing. And, I miss that a lot.
Yeah. I don't know when it'll get back to what I'm going to say or if it ever will, but when I'm in a store or something, there are people who respond to me like I'm a disease. I don't know if you've had that. You know, like I'm looking at pickles, let's say, in the aisle, and
sometimes I feel like people have always looked at me like that.
But you know, they turn down the aisle and they see you, and it's like, I can't go by you. Like, I mean, once I had to hug the thing. So the lady would go by me and she was hugging the other side, and it's like almost feel, it's just really awkward and weird. And I remember thinking in that moment, like, I don't like this. We shouldn't view each other like this. And I'm hoping that doesn't stay too long. I mean, I have experienced that in other places as well. And I know we even have rules set up at church that might make it feel awkward, and we don't want it to be that way about the handshaking and hugging and stuff. But just getting back to, and I don't think society necessarily saw it this way, but we all bear the image of God, and treating people that way and caring for people that way enough to be willing to pick up somebody for something if they drop it, instead of thinking, that's probably got your germs on it, I'm not touching it, type of thing. I look forward to it getting back. And I'll say, overwhelmingly, I haven't experienced that. People have been pretty kind through all this, but I look forward to getting back to that. Is there anything you're not looking forward to? And what I mean by that is of things getting back to quote-unquote normal. Anything you wish wouldn't go back to maybe what it was before?
Yeah. At first, it was a little disquieting. But now that we are where we are and we've been doing this as long as we have, I'm not looking forward to getting busy again. And having the next thing pressing on my schedule, whether it's as we're in my place of employment or with my family at home, but having a regular, normal routine that's open and not just jam-packed, where I get to decide what we do, and it doesn't feel like there's 10 different groups putting things on me, whether it's clubs or activities or sports or something like that. We get to choose what we do as a family. We get to set the priorities. It's almost like before this, it's like you didn't have control. And one of the things that could have been good or could have been bad for different families is control was placed in your hands of how you spent your time. And I think for a lot of families that have spent it well, or at least tried, it's going to be very easy to put you and your family back into a situation where you give up that control again. And I'm going to try to fight against that.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm a little weird. I'm actually looking forward to getting back to work regularly. I think I think in some ways for our family unit was not as much affected, just because the only person who really wasn't able to go to work was me. So the only thing that otherwise, of course.
So you messed everything up.
So I messed everything up. So like the kids were still at home, right? Courtney was at home. Now, of course, there were weird things like you couldn't go to the store with your kids, couldn't go out to eat, things like that. But so I am looking forward to a bit more of a regular routine of life. But I agree with Scott. I do think that I don't want to just be busy just to be busy.
Yeah.
I think that it's better to sink your teeth into 2 or 3 things that are worth your time than 10 that are not. And so I think that that's really important for all of our lives and all sorts of things. What again, the question, what good is this doing? Am I really, what am I getting my bang for my buck out of this really? In whatever this is going on in my life, and just really using this time as a reset. And I think it could be even helpful just to sit down and think about what would my ideal schedule look like? And it doesn't mean that you're going to get that, but at least you got something to think about, something to start. And we can do that as a church, we can do that as families.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm looking forward to getting back to a regular routine, but to reset that routine, hopefully, in a healthier way. Yeah. Because we do need routines.
Yeah.
We do need that, but we don't need to have it to where it slaves over us to such an extent.
Yeah, I can echo that fully. I mean, I feel myself being anxious. Like, I feel anxiousness about it getting back to normal. And it's not laziness. It's not, I just don't want to work. It's not, it has nothing to do with that. It's exactly what you said. It's trying to prioritize what needs to take priority. You know, I know so many families who dread having to go to the baseball diamond, we got another game, and I go watch their kid play, and he's out picking dandelions in the field. He's not wanting to be there either, and they're like, gosh, and it's like, why are we doing this then? Why are we all here? Like, because you feel you have to? I mean, I don't know what it is, I don't have the answer though.
Right.
I mean, I've really been trying to think through it and really been trying to weigh what is the answer, even for us here as a church, and maybe it's good that it gets brought up here, where I told you as a staff, I don't want our church to go back to how it used to be normal, where we feel we have to have an event every week for something, or we have to have all these events driven, because I have to think that it was healthy for a lot of our families to be together on their own, and for us as a church to think about that, to build time into our church calendar, to allow that for our families. Now, I don't have the answer for that, and we have to think about that. Mm-hmm. But we've just seemed to take everything and we just see the good in it and never the bad. Mm-hmm. Youth camp is good. I don't ever want to get rid of it. But is there some downside to it? Probably. Having whatever, all these different events, I think we really need to weigh it and say, what do we prioritize as Monroe Missionary Baptist Church? And we want to do those things well, right?
I mean, hopefully what people have seen is, this whole season, this pandemic season, has jarred everybody's life. It's changed aspects of everyone's life. And just hopefully, if anything can be gained out of that, what can be gained is the realization that you can live life differently than you did before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That there are different ways to live your life. There are different events you can do as a church. Mm-hmm. There are different ways you as a family can function. There's different ways of organizing your schedule. And at first, the way I feel like I probably reacted and everybody else reacted is, this is the end of the world. But where we are now, I think a lot more people are starting to realize it's not the end of the world. It's just different.
It's different, yeah.
And that's okay. Mm-hmm. And we can do different. And that's what I've been hoping people will see, specifically related to church, is that things can be different. And maybe a way to wade through that and think through that is, when we do start back on June 14th, which we're recording that before June 14th, is that we're not going to start doing everything. But my hope is that our people are thinking through and are realizing, if we can't do everything as a church, what are we committed to? What do we miss the most? What do we want to do?
Yeah.
And if we can do anything, we want to do this, right?
Yeah.
And just prioritize the right things as a church.
Don't be busy just to be busy.
Exactly.
And that used to just kill me. When you talk to anybody before this, how's things going? Busy. And I really
If anybody tells you that now, they're lying.
You're right. But I think if you were to really break it down with them, like, okay, let's look at your calendar. Let's see what you're so busy with. I bet a lot of people weren't really busy, so to speak. They had filled their life with busyness that wasn't necessary, that wasn't too important. And I don't want to be like that. I don't want to get that. The things that I'm doing, I want, like you said, I want to do. Now, there's things I'm going to have to do that I don't necessarily want to do.
Sure. Everybody has
That's life.
Yeah.
That's life in general. But yeah, and so I do have that worry in me of just everybody going back to how it was before, and it's like, what did we learn from everything we just went through? Nothing, And so I hope that doesn't happen. Any other word from you guys? Well, church family, we appreciate you. We love you. We're glad that we're back together. We look forward really to being able to get everybody back together, because I'm sure there's some who still they feel it's not safe, and that's okay. And so we look forward to that day when we can all be back together, worshiping together, serving each other together, serving Monroe, trying to share with the lost. And so we hope that you're doing that. But thank you for watching this video. We look forward to seeing you on Sunday.